Hi, so today we're going to go over our second historical era, the Gilded Age. And so the Gilded Age really begins to happen while westward expansion is happening, but the Gilded Age is going to be focused within the cities. And so within this Gilded Age, we'll see the rise of big business, the rise of very wealthy entrepreneurs. We'll see an increase of immigration. And then finally, we'll begin to see an increased involvement in government to protect workers' rights. And so today we're going to focus on the cost and benefits of laissez faire. And so we're going to look at what philosophy of business or rules for businesses prevailed during the Gilded Age. And we're also going to look at the cost and benefits to those policies. So our first vocabulary word for the day is the Gilded Age. And so the Gilded Age literally means gold covered. And so this term gilded means that it's covered with gold. So from the outside, from far, far away, it might look like America is prosperous and business is flourishing and there's new inventions. However, if you look underneath and you look lower, you will see that there's a lot of hardship and people are working very hard under poor conditions without fair pay. And so you kind of get the negatives of that. Our second vocabulary word is really kind of this idea of these new innovations or these new inventions. So like I said, the Gilded Age, it's like gold covered. So these are some of the golden things of the Gilded Age. We have new electric streetcars. We have new subway trains. We have this process to make steel which helps us build the first skyscrapers called the Bessemer steel process. We also have the widespread use of the light bulb and electricity, which helps people to be able to work far into the night. And so this whole process of these new inventions and this new way of making things is going to be called industrialization. And so industrialization is really this fast-paced mass production on a high level where you have workers who are not very skilled and they do the same repetitive tasks over and over and over again. And the whole purpose of that is for efficiency, to make things quickly and inexpensively. And so that will bring us our first factories. And so the leaders of this industrialization process are going to be entrepreneurs. And so entrepreneurs are really business people who take a risk and start their own business in order to make a profit. And so I think a famous entrepreneur from here might be Steve Jobs, or it might be Elon Musk, or it might be Mark Zuckerberg. So those people that I included at the beginning of our class discussion. So those people are making risk. They're taking a risk in order to make an extreme amount of profit. And so the way this is going to interact, these entrepreneurs, with this process of innovation, industrialization, is going to be through free enterprise. And so free enterprise is basically another word for what you would call capitalism. And so free enterprise is where people are able to start a business with the idea that they can make a lot of money and there's very few regulations and very few taxes. And so in a way, there's no obstacles for them to start this. So it's kind of like, oh, there's the freedom to try anything that you want and the freedom to make as much money as you want. And so people are going to be inspired to invent new things in order to make money. And so the government policy that often goes with this free enterprise term is going to be laissez-faire. So if you remember back to Alexis de Tocqueville, he was the guy who said that the government is laissez-faire and that's unique to America. The government was hands-off. They didn't get involved. They said, whatever, we're going to let business do what they want. So that's laissez-faire, lazy government, hands-off, government stays out. And so what's going to happen when you have free enterprise and a laissez-faire government, you get a lot of innovative entrepreneurs who are going to be very successful. However, soon what's going to happen is they are going to create monopolies. And so monopolies are very large businesses that control an entire industry. For example, in this cartoon, this is an oil monopoly. And so this one company, Standard Oil, at one point is going to have like 90% of control of all the world's oil supply. And so when a business controls an industry that much, there's going to be no room for competition. And so that means there is no room for people's choice. There is no room for government choice. And so these companies grew to have extreme power, a lot like Google, Facebook, probably Apple, probably like Amazon, a lot like those industries that we have today, or businesses that we have today. And so these entrepreneurs are sometimes, just like today, you have Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. Sometimes they are looked at in a good light to be like, oh my gosh, look at all these innovative things they've created. And other times you might look at them as a robber baron, to be like, these people are scamming people. They're making money off of everyone else's need or everyone's data, right? And so sometimes we might see them as good, as captains of industry. Look at all these innovative things they've done. They're amazing. And other times we might look at them as robber barons. Look at these guys. They are making money off the backs of everyone else. So again, robber baron is whenever you look at those entrepreneurs, those businessmen in a bad light, and you are saying, hey, they're making money off of everyone else. They are taking advantage off of everyone else, and they control everything. And captains of industry is when you look at those business owners in a good light, thinking, oh my gosh, look at all these new things and all these new inventions, all these new developments that they've brought to the country. And so kind of related to this dynamic of having the really, really rich and the really, really poor, it's going to be this idea of social Darwinism. So if you think back to biology and you think Charles Darwin, and he came up with this theory of evolution, survival of the fittest. Well, this idea of social Darwinism is going to be popular at the time, and it's going to be applied to society. So people who are rich, they're going to say, oh, we're rich because we are better, we're smarter, we're more talented, and we work harder. People who are poor, well, they're poor because they're lazy and they don't work hard and they're dumb. And so the rich are in a way are going to feel entitled to their prosperity and their wealth. There's going to be a couple of innovators and entrepreneurs, and there's 2 videos, so I won't go too far into detail, that are going to be very prosperous at this time. And the first one is going to be Andrew Carnegie. And so Andrew Carnegie is going to make his money through what is called vertical integration. And so he's going to control all the parts of his business from the ground up. A second entrepreneur and innovator, very rich businessman, at one point the richest man in the world, he is going to develop his businesses through horizontal integration. And so what this is he's going to take over businesses that are like his. So he's going to try to take over all of these oil refineries, and he is going to create one oil company. So that's horizontal. Next, a way that these businesses are going to become more efficient is going to be through scientific management, or Taylorism. And so basically this is an assembly line. And so we'll go further into assembly lines later in the year, but it's basically you have workers doing a very simple task over and over and over again so that they can make things very, very, very quickly. Now, some entrepreneurs are going to develop this idea that, hey, they are working very hard and they need to be able to give back to their communities. And so they're going to come up with this word, philanthropy. And so philanthropy is going to be giving back to your community. And so there's one particular entrepreneur, Andrew Carnegie, he's an immigrant. And so he works his way up through the ladders. And so as he builds up his wealth, he develops this idea of the gospel of wealth. And so the gospel of wealth is exactly that. It says, hey, wealthy people, we need to give back to our communities. Our communities deserve our help. And so, excuse me, he's going to give back to the communities by building things like libraries and museums. And so these two videos are in blend for you to watch.